Well, good evening, or rather, good morning, Rekkr.
Good morning to you, or good evening to you, I should say.
Yeah. Hey, everybody in chat and everybody watching out there, YouTube land, all over the world, wherever. How is everybody tonight? I hope well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what have we got in store for tonight, right?
Oh, my favorite, chaos and insanity.
Well, I'm not prepared for that. But
Oh, okay, hang on, let me just change that in.
mm,
You've got the choice of bread, potatoes, pizza, mozzarella, or the 48 laws.
yeah, I thought it was the 48 laws. Like, yeah,
It was in
yeah,
small writing. My bad.
yeah,
I
your
didn't
bad.
see it.
The other part sounds like just like a big food fest. Like, I don't know where you're going after the show, but sounds like there'll be some good eats though.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is chapter 39, I believe. Yeah.
It certainly is.
Hmm. And
We're only in the single digits now.
this is true. We only have 9 more to go,
Mm-hmm.
which the way that it looks, if we keep going the way we're going, we will be finished right about time you have to take your finals, and then when you go on break, you'll actually get a break. Like, we'll be on break. You'll be on break.
Yes.
I'll be on break. Like, the series will be on break. It'll be finished. It's been a long haul. Yeah.
It has been, but it's a
Yeah.
good one.
It is. I've learned a lot. I really have. I've enjoyed the challenge that you have thrown me. in from the feedback of others, I think they have also enjoyed it. Uh, it's been interesting, if anything. It was a new way to look at a rather controversial take on Robert Greene's version of power and like dog eat dog cutthroat style. Um,
Mm-hmm.
his historical references, which he really likes to go to quite a few of his favorites repeatedly. And I do believe in this chapter we'll be hitting a couple of his old pals again. But it is interesting because I've learned to, how you can adapt these things and prepare and actually just keep your eyes open for when they're being used on you, how they work, why they work, these tactics, these
Mm-hmm.
strategies, these so-called laws. Yeah. So,
Yes.
so I guess we better just get to it. Let's just get to what he says, and then see what we can do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Same old, right?
Same old,
Welcome
same old.
Yeah, welcome everyone in the chat. It's good to see you. Oh, thank you for those that are over there at Twitch. Tonight we are live on YouTube, Twitch, and Kick. So if you hear us answering something you don't see in your own chat, it's because there's three of them all over the place. Um, and they all combine together for us, but you don't see them. Well, thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for the mods for handling all those chats. And well, let's start our. I guess we better get to it because it's a pretty long presentation today.
That
So,
it is.
so shall I bring it up for you there? Oh, look, yes, it is 39. There we go. Got the
Mm-hmm.
right one. That's always a good sign when we have the right one to start with.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
Shall I read the judgment?
I think, yes, this is the Law 39, the breakdown of the chapter titled, and this is right from Green's book, in his chapters, his writings, stir up waters to catch fish.
Yes.
Hmm.
And it goes. Judgment. Anger and emotions are strategically counterproductive. You must always stay calm and objective, but if you can make your enemies angry while staying calm yourself, you gain a decided advantage. Put your enemies off balance. Find the chink in their vanity through which you can rattle them and hold the strings.
Hmm.
I like strings.
Do
I
you?
generally put them on my guitar so I can play.
I like them. I like violins. Yeah. Well, I don't know what that has to do with this law, but let's go. All right. So rather than wait to tell you the modern interpretive explanation, like how would we explain this better in simple terms to what you can apply to your everyday life, not in big business? I mean, yes, these things work for achieving goals. They're often used for business, getting power in group settings, in group endeavors, things you're working together to accomplish. Okay, but mostly big business and not really our day to day world. Not really that, gotta make the money, like I said, cutthroat, dog eat dog kind of atmosphere. More for simpler terms to us to apply every day, that modern explanation would be more like when you get angry and embarrassed or defensive, you're more likely to react impulsively. You say too much, make choices you later regret. You need to stay calm when somebody tries to provoke you, especially in public, and at work, online, or in an argument. If you can recognize what triggers another person, you may see their real priorities, insecurities, or weak spots when they overreact. But the smartest use of this law is often defensive. Don't take the bait. Don't let someone else control your emotions and don't give them the reaction they were hoping for. For me, this is the clearest interpretation of Law 39 to apply to everyday life because this applies everywhere. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. It's all about making sure you don't get pulled in by that rage bait.
I mean, if you want to react, react. Well, don't let them
Absolutely.
force your react. In other words, don't give your power away. As soon as you let them control what you're doing and how you're reacting and what you've lost power, you've given it to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, to protect your own personal power and just keep on your own path and what you're trying to accomplish for yourself, it's kind of like guarding your peace, right? It's kind of like, you know, being in control of what you actually want to accomplish and not letting them derail you. And
Mm-hmm.
because there's always going to be somebody in some faction of your life, whether it's that friend of yours that just likes to nag you all the time, it just try to get a rise out of you or make you stumble, a sibling even, a relative, somebody, a co-worker who's constantly trying to one up you, or take credit for what you do, stuff like that. um, Online, I mean, a zillion million zillion dillion dillion trillion, like, are those even words? I don't know, but you get the picture. So many examples of that online, Dave. It's just, I think you all get it, right? uh, that's what I can be assured of. Those of you here in the chat, those of you that follow me, actually understand that this is that this part's simple, right? This we deal with every day, you know. Um, if you allow yourself to go with the trigger, I mean, it's easy to get triggered, and it's hard not to let that show and to keep it yourself. I get that. Like, easier said than done is what most people are going to say in response to this, right? They're going to say, "Oh yeah, that's how do you do that when somebody's in your face about something? Like, how do you actually not react?" I'm not saying it's easy. We all know it's not, you know. But looking at it pragmatically, is it the best thing to do? Take that pause. Take that step back. Don't react right away. If you
Mm-hmm.
feel if you feel a response or a reaction is warranted after the pause and you're sure, then go ahead for it. Like, that's your personal choice. Go ahead, do it. Nothing says you can't. Not even the law. The law is just saying don't let them trigger you into an emotional response that you will regret. You know, it, and that when you can, if you need to, watch what they're doing. Watch how they're trying to do this to you, because usually that's going to expose, when they say their real priorities, they mean their agenda, they mean their purpose, they mean what they're after. And like many of the laws that Green has laid out, that's useful information to use against them at a later date or when appropriate. When you're not reacting emotionally, you're able to gather information and watch what they're doing and learn where it's coming
Exactly.
from and what you can then expose. And it gives you more information on whether or not it's worth a response, you know, whether it's worth your engagement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Back to Green, huh?
Yes. And we get to start off with a transgression. And I have to go back to goddamn France. uh, this is why I don't try and learn another language. I can't do that.
What?
But
French? No. Well,
any other language, I can speak English and uh, belligerent. That's about it.
Mm.
I'm not good
Uh,
at speaking belligerent either.
yeah,
Well,
well,
actually, no, I'm pretty fluent at that. Depends on how you get me.
that's true. I think we all can be that way occasionally. But at least this historical example is two of your favorite from France. I mean, it's Napoleon. Come on, you can admire Napoleon a bit.
I can.
And who could disagree that Talleyrand was not? I mean, on today's terms, we'd call it politician, but as a courtier, as a counselor, as a right hand guy out there, like everybody wanted him. He was a master
Hmm.
at the game, correct? I mean, as history tells it. Not being a historian, but I do read. It's
Hmm.
like, so would you like to read this? And by the way, everyone, this comes directly from Robert Greene's book. These are his examples, his historical examples of this law being used properly and not properly. First one being not properly, the transgression. And we have a link to the PDF in the description for you if you'd like to follow along. Oh, I'll leave it to you.
Absolutely. Okay, so we go like this. In January of 1809, the agitated and anxious Napoleon hurried back to Paris from his Spanish wars. His spies and confidants had confirmed a rumor that his foreign minister Talleyrand had conspired against him with Fouché, the minister of police. Immediately on arrival in the capital, the shocked emperor summoned his ministers to the palace, following them into the meeting right after their arrival. Into the meeting right after their arrival, he began pacing up and down, and started rambling vaguely about plotters working against him, spectators, speculators bringing down the stock market, legislators delaying his policies, and his own ministers undermining him. As Napoleon talked, Talleyrand leaned on the mantelpiece, looking completely indifferent. Facing Talleyrand directly, Napoleon announced, "For these ministers, treason has begun when they permit themselves to doubt." At the word treason, the ruler expected his minister to be afraid, but Talleyrand only smiled, calmly and bored. The sight of a subordinate apparently serene in the face of charges that could get him hanged pushed Napoleon to the edge. There were ministers, he said, who wanted him dead, and he took a step closer to Talleyrand, who stared back at him unfazed. Finally, Napoleon exploded. "You are a coward," he screamed in Talleyrand's face, "a man of no faith. Nothing is sacred to you. You would sell your own father. I have showered you with riches, and yet there is nothing you would do to hurt, and there is nothing you would not do to hurt me." The other ministers looked at each other in disbelief. They had never seen this fearless general, the conqueror of most of Europe, so unhinged. "You deserve to be broken like glass. You deserve to be broken like glass," Napoleon continued, stamping. "I have the power to do it, but I have too much contempt for you to bother. Why didn't I have you hanged from the gates of Tuileries? There we are. But there is still time for that." Yelling, almost out of breath, his face red, his eyes bulging, he went on, "You, by the way, are nothing but shit in a silk stocking. What? What about your wife? You never told me that San Carlos was your wife's lover. Indeed, sir, it did not occur to me that this information had any bearing on your Majesty's glory or my own," said Talleyrand calmly, completely unflustered. After a few more insults, Napoleon walked away. Talleyrand slowly crossed the room, moving with his characteristic limp. As an attendant helped him with his cloak, he turned to his fellow ministers, all afraid they would never see him again, and said, "What a pity, gentlemen, that so great a man should have such bad manners." Despite his anger, Napoleon did not arrest his foreign minister. He merely relieved him of his duties and banished him from the court, believing that for this man humiliation would be punishment enough. He did not realize that word had quickly spread of his tirade, of how the emperor had completely lost control of himself, and how Talleyrand had essentially humiliated him by maintaining his composure and dignity. A page had been turned. For the first time, people had seen the great emperor lose his cool under fire, and feelings spread A feeling spread that he was on the way down. As Talleyrand later said, "This is the beginning of the end."
Yes.
Interpretation. This was indeed the beginning of the end. Waterloo was still 6 years ahead, but Napoleon was on a slow descent to defeat, crystallizing in 1812 with his disastrous invasion of Russia. Talleyrand was the first to see the signs of his decline, especially in the irrational war with Spain. Sometime in 1808, the minister decided that for the future peace of Europe, Napoleon had to go, and so he conspired with Fouché. It is possible that the conspiracy was never anything more than a ploy, a device to push Napoleon over the edge, for it is hard to believe that two of the most practical men in history would only go halfway with their plotting. They may have been only stirring the waters, trying to goad Napoleon into a misstep. And indeed, what they had... They may have only been stirring the waters, trying to goad Napoleon into a misstep, and indeed, what they got was the tantrum that laid out his loss of control for all to see. In fact, Napoleon's soon famous blow-up that afternoon had profoundly negative effects on his public image. This is the problem with the angry response. At first, it may strike fear and terror, but only in some, and as the days pass and the storm clears, other responses emerge: embarrassment and uneasiness about the shouter's capacity for going out of control, and resentment for what has been said. Losing your temper, you only make unfair and exaggerated accusations. A few such tirades, and people are counting the days until you are gone. In the face of a conspiracy against him, a conspiracy between his two most important ministers, Napoleon certainly had a right to feel angry and anxious, but by responding so angrily and so publicly, he had only demonstrated his frustration. To show your frustration is to show that you have lost your power to shape events. It is the helpless action of a child who resorts to hysterical fits to get his way. The powerful never reveal this kind of weakness. There were a number of things Napoleon could have done in this situation. He could have thought about the fact that two eminently sensible men had reason to turn against him, and could have listened and learned from them. He could have tried to win them back. He He could have tried to win them back to him. He could even have gotten rid of them, making their imprisonment or death an ominous display of his power. No tirades, no childish fits, no embarrassing after effects, just a quiet and definitive severing of ties. Remember, tantrums neither intimidate nor inspire loyalty. They only create doubt and uneasiness about your power, exposing your weakness. These stormy eruptions often herald a fall. These stormy interruptions often herald a fall.
Damn.
And it's true. I've seen a lot of people lose their cool in situations where they don't have to, and it never ended well.
No, I think we see a lot of it.
Mm.
I think it's very common. I mean, it's hard not to be reactionary in some situations, and I understand that. Well, you know, when you think about it, it's probably not the best idea to
Mm-hmm.
show your cards. I mean, we've had other laws that we went over about keeping our cards close to our vest, not actually letting them see where you're coming from all the time. Don't, all of these things. And it all kind of plays into this one. I mean, we take these laws chapter by chapter in order. Like, it just, sometimes they just seem to cover more than one. Like this one, even though it sounds it's just about anger or not being in control or having emotional response. It really covers quite a few of the other ones too, or is very consistent with them, or could be paired up with them. You know, at least the way that I'm remembering several of the other chapters in regards to not letting everybody know exactly where you're coming from when there's a disagreement. Sometimes it's better not to engage. You got to pick your battles.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you've got a large endeavor in front of you, a goal, a plan, something you're trying to accomplish. Because it can take you off track. It can diminish your power in achieving your goal. It can limit your opportunities with others. I mean, with
Absolutely.
Napoleon, in your example, as a transgression, of course, it would limit Napoleon's ability to convince others of things. Some people would have less trust in his sound judgment. I mean, I I don't recall reading a lot about his tirades. I don't know, you know. Um,
Mm,
but I have read a lot about Talleyrand just ruling the room everywhere he went.
exactly.
So it's not surprising in that situation who came out ahead. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Hey, welcome, Stephen. We were reading when you came in. It's good to see you. And Amber, you too. I just say, Amber says, anger is a weapon only to one's enemy. Exactly. As soon as you express anger, you are handing over power to the other side. Absolutely. Don't we observe this same behavior right now?
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
You don't mean right now with like me and Rekkr, because like we very rarely argue. And if we do, it's kind of in a like sibling way. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like poking at each other, like just having a go. Like, yeah, I don't know.
I believe it was
Oh,
what's his name?
oh,
George Crabbe that said
yes.
was it Crab or Crabe? I can't remember. But he said something like anger makes us strong, blind, and impatient, and it leads us wrong. The
True.
strength is quickly lost. We feel the error long.
Wow. Yes, I would agree with that. I mean,
I
what do
could
you?
be wrong though. I may be wrong. I
Okay,
may be misquoting him, so don't quote
well,
me.
at least it's a general idea. I mean, you've
Mm,
got the general gist of it. I'm not. I'm not going to be a pedant and hold you to that one. although I'm sure someone will, but it ain't gonna be me. Eh, but I get the general idea of that. I do, and I kind of go along with you. When you're expressing your anger like that, you feel strong. You know, other people would be intimidated and maybe even
Mm-hmm.
fearful, but it's temporary.
Absolutely.
There is no lasting good result from that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you may get a temporary bump. You know, right?
Mm-hmm. Actually, I do know one. The Dalai Lama did. Let me see if I remember this one properly. I do remember a quote from the Dalai Lama saying something like, "When we are angry, we are blind to reality. Anger may bring us temporary bursts of energy, but that energy is blind, and
Mm,
that is dangerous
that
because
is.
you never want energy directed blindly. It's
Mhm.
like it's like um it's like a lightning storm. It'll strike blindly. It will strike anywhere. It will
Mhm.
strike everywhere.
Right. And no doubt it's powerful. No
Mm-hmm.
doubt, no doubt it's going to actually do something, but it's not going to be within your control. Is that what you're trying to say? Okay,
Yes.
I get that. I get what you're trying to say there. I do.
Mm.
And I think that also is something Green is expressing.
Mm-hmm.
It's right. So, shall we go on then to how Green feels is the proper use of this law? An actual
Absolutely.
observance of this law. And we go to history again and again. This is right from his book,
And of
The
course, you
48
don't
Laws
get
of
the
Power.
French.
No, no, I didn't. But I got all these words, like these words, and I could pronounce them wrong. But I think everybody will
True.
get the gist of it. If you want to follow along, the PDF again is in the description of the YouTube video, and the pages of the PDF. It's marked the PDF, not actually the book, because it's a copy in a PDF. If the page number on what you're looking at might say nothing, you have to look at the top of the PDF page to match with here. So let me. It would help if I had it up, right? No, there it is. Look at that, I did. So, observance of the law. By the late 1920s, Haile Selassie had nearly achieved his goal of assuming total control over Ethiopia, a country he felt needed strong and unified leadership. As regent to the Empress Saditu, stepdaughter of the late queen and heir to the throne, Selassie had spent several years weakening the power of Ethiopia's various warlords. Now, only one real obstacle stood in his way: the Empress and her husband, Ras Gutsa. Selassie knew the royal couple hated him and wanted to get rid of him. So, to cut short their plotting, he made Gutsa the governor of the northern province of Begemeter, forcing him to leave the capital where the empress lived. For several years, Gutsa played the loyal administrator, but Selassie did not trust him. He knew that Gutsa and the empress were plotting revenge. As time passed and Gutsa made no move, the chances of a plot only increased. Selassie knew what he had to do: draw Gutsa out, get under his skin, and push him into action before he was ready. For several years, a northern tribe, the Azubi Gaius, had been in virtual rebellion against the throne, robbing and pillaging local villages and refusing to pay taxes. Selassie had done nothing to stop them, letting them grow stronger. Finally, in 1929, he ordered Rosgutsa to lead an army against these disobedient tribesmen. Gutsa agreed, but inwardly he seethed. He had no grudge against the Azubigas, and the demand that he fight them hurt his pride. He could not disobey the order. But as he worked to put together an army, he began to spread an ugly rumor that Selassie was in cahoots with the Pope and planned to convert the country to Roman Catholicism and make it a colony of Italy. Gutsa's army swelled. In some of the tribes from which its soldiers came secretly agreed to fight Selassie. In March of 1930, an enormous force of 35,000 men began to march, not on the Azubigayas, but south, toward the capital of Addis Ababa. Made confident by his growing strength, Gutsa now openly led a holy war to depose Selassie and put the country back in the hands of true Christians. He did not see the trap that had been laid for him. Before Selassie had ordered Gutsa to fight the Azubigayas, he had secured the support of the Ethiopian church. And before the revolt got underway, he had bribed several of Gutsa's key allies not to show up for the battle. As the rebel army marched south, airplanes flew overhead, dropping leaflets announcing that the highest church officials had recognized Selassie as the true Christian leader of Ethiopia and that they had excommunicated Gutsa for fomenting a civil war. These leaflets severely blunted the emotions behind the Holy Crusade, and as a battle loomed and the support that Gutsa's allies had promised him failed to show up, soldiers began to flee or defect. When the battle came, the rebel army quickly collapsed. Refusing to surrender, Ras Gutsa was killed in the fighting. The empress, distraught over her husband's death, died a few days later. On April 30th, Selassie issued a formal proclamation announcing his new title, Emperor of Ethiopia. I'd say that was a good use of the law.
I think that was success.
That was success. Green's interpretation. Haile Selassie always saw several moves ahead. He knew that if he let Ras Gutsa decide the time and place of the revolt, the danger would be much greater than if he forced Gutsa to act on Selassie's terms. So he goaded him into rebellion by offending his manly pride, asking him to fight people he had no quarrel with on behalf of a man he hated. Thinking everything out ahead, Selassie made sure that Gutsa's rebellion would come to nothing and that he could use it to do away with his last two enemies. This is the essence of the law. When the waters are still, your opponents have the time and space to plot actions that they will initiate and control. So stir those waters, force the fish to the surface, get them to act before they are ready, steal the initiative. The best way to do this is to play on uncontrollable emotions: pride, vanity, love, hate. Once the water is stirred up, the little fish cannot help but rise to the bait. The angrier they become, the less control they have. And finally, they are caught in the whirlpool you have made, and they drown. Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
damn. Well, you picked good examples, I think, this time. Even
I
if,
do agree.
yep, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Ember, Ember says, on the other hand, anger is one of the very few emotions that can cut through despair and numbness. True. Ain't,
Mm-hmm.
what's that they say? There's no doubt you're feeling it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
when you're angry, there's no doubt you're feeling it. Like, that resonates with me, Amber. Like, yeah. Sin. That's why you always go with good old righteous wrath. Anger is playtime. Wrath is business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Sin. I hear you. I hear you, Sin. Anger was the emotion that I used for power when I was undiagnosed but struggling with health issues. You know what, Stephen? There's great power in it. There is. There is. There's no doubt about that. It's just who has the power, right?
Yep. There's a. Hmm, let me see if I can word this properly. Um, there is there is there is a there is a certain power to love, and there is a certain power to hate. Some people will say they are different in respects, but if you can get someone to love to hate something,
Hmm.
you will always blind them every single time.
Well, are they not both great motivators?
Mm-hmm.
They actually motivate people to to action, to feel,
Oh yeah.
to you know.
And that's where the power lies, because if you can get someone to feel both of them at the same time.
Careful, careful. There, Rekkr, you sounded like a master manipulator. Like, like
Oh, I thought this is what the book was about.
it is. It is. It is. Yes. But there's something to be said by learning the lessons too well. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. You know. Anyway, all
I
jokes
think
aside.
yeah.
Yeah,
What
go ahead.
the thing is that I think the most important thing is to be conscious of it. If you're conscious if you're conscious of what needs to be done to elicit whatever reaction, then
Hmm.
you can make the conscious decision to either avoid it or follow it.
Exactly. That's what it's all about. Not giving your power away, taking that moment to decide what is in your best interest to move forward. Don't let them force you into doing something rashly, you know, into an overreaction that you might regret, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
keeping control just long enough to decide actually what is the best for you to keep you on your path, to keep your power, to keep you moving forward. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's the twist that we were doing with this. That was the challenge you presented to me to
Yes.
put this not from just a power play of greens for moving ahead in business and accomplishing what you want, but how people could use this every day to protect their own personal power, especially with the things that happen in a fast-paced world these days. Everything done online, we're exposed to so much more. We're exposed to so much more manipulation, whether intentional or not, on a daily
Mm-hmm.
basis on all sides of us. And so these laws, the challenge was to use the basis of Green's books to interpret or extrapolate out the lesson that he was presenting in a way that could be used simply by all of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Humble Rekkr.
Oh, I am the most humble. You will never meet. There is not a single person out there who is truly as humble as I am.
Yeah, but they're already planning to on Rekkr you after we finish the 48 laws.
Oh,
We have to
well,
on Rekkr. Like that's that.
hmm.
Okay.
I
I,
don't consent.
would you please consent to reading the quote from Green's book? What he chose to put there is the quote at the end of the examples.
I think I can do that. Let me, here we go. A sovereign should never launch an army out of anger. A leader should never start a war out of wrath. Sun Tzu, 4th century BC.
He's a favorite of yours. Art of
Mm-hmm.
War. Yeah, he's come up quite a bit in the 48 laws. Quite a bit. Okay, here's the fun part. We delved into history with what Green put forth as the examples. And so now the challenge was to try to find modern examples of this. And not just with the use of anger, because anger isn't the only thing that people try to trigger you with. It's not the only button. Can we agree?
Oh, absolutely. It's the
Right.
easiest one, but
It
it's
is the easiest one. It is. But I don't think anyone in the chat or anyone watching would have any problem understanding that part using anger as that trigger, right? So
mm.
when
Oh yeah.
in putting together the modern examples, try to put like real life situations where it's not actually anger that is the trigger, but they're still trying to prompt you into some type of response, and what might be a better way to handle things, right? So
Mm-hmm.
with that being said, since I just read, I'll let you do the first one. Now these are all going to be based on scenarios, just a general scenario, okay? Where it's going to try to just point out using it well and then using it not so well, like what happens when it doesn't work. So,
Mm-hmm. So successful use, workplace. The defensive pressure question. A coworker keeps that a co Hey,
okay,
my
wait,
mouth was
wait.
just having a seizure. Give it a second.
Okay, one. All
a
right.
coworker keeps a coworker keeps taking credit for group work, but is vague in meetings. Instead of accusing them, you calmly ask, "Can you walk us through which sections you completed and when?" The mild pressure may make them over-explain, contradict themselves, or reveal they cannot account for the work. Why it works? You do not manufacture a personal attack. You create a moment of accountability and watch how they handle it. The reaction may tell the room more than an accusation would. If the oh wait, you're doing the failure version?
No, you read the whole
No, I
slide.
am. Yeah, the whole slide. The failure version. You publicly embarrass them, use sarcasm, or bait them into an outburst. They may gain sympathy. HR may see you as the aggressor, and the actual work issue gets buried under interpersonal conflict. Yes,
I think
and that
that's a
is
good.
true.
I think that's a good example there. You
Mm-hmm.
know how you can bait someone into revealing the agenda, revealing the facts without major confrontation. Now, if you're going to use it in the fail version, you would actually just attack, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you would trigger them, but you're going to
Well,
come out looking bad. You might get them to say something to be used against them or to give out some information, but at the same time, you lose power by losing credibility. Losing, being seen as, like they said, the aggressor. If it's HR, it's a workplace, so they're going to be looking at you like you're the problem too. you know
mm-hmm.
like nobody's really going to come out ahead there. you know
And well, let's be fair. The failure version is always the easiest one to pick. I mean, isn't it? No, it is it is very normal for the first thing anyone to do when someone's taking all the credit or something like that is to pipe up and try and embarrass them or try and humiliate them some way because
because
I,
you're angry,
what
because you
yeah
because you feel
it,
disrespected and angered and everything, but it's not exactly the best plan forward, right? Yeah.
yeah, because it's and not only that, but it's the easiest option to take. It is how we're wired. We're wired to take the easiest option, to do
Right,
it
because with
in a successful way, using or in a constructive way, a way that actually puts the onus back on the person. It requires a lot of forethought, and it requires a lot of in a way, it requires being able to look further than 15 minutes into the future. And
true.
that's not easy for
It's not.
anyone.
It's
It
it's not
doesn't come
easy to.
naturally.
They say. one of the hardest things is practicing to take the pause. Like I, in some of the books I read a lot of books, philosophy, psychology, all of these, you know, general self-help kind of stuff on an everyday basis. Learning to take the pause is one of the best things you can do for yourself, and it would apply here, because if you could take the pause, which means just not doing anything for that moment until you figure out what is the best thing moving forward. It doesn't mean walk away from the problem. It doesn't mean bury your head. It doesn't mean don't do anything ever. It just means take the pause. Don't take the bait. Take the
Mm-hmm.
pause, whatever's going on, to take a moment. In today's fast paced life that we all deal with, at least in my opinion, things are seem to be faster and faster and faster. There's so much information coming at us at all times, with the internet, in the world getting smaller because of it, us being exposed to so much more and so rapidly. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
the everybody needs to practice more taking the pause, whether it be
Yep.
taking a step aside from overexposure to the information for a little bit, to catch our breath. There's a reason they tell people, touch grass. When you feel that it's getting to you, whatever, being in control of that so that you're at your best is something we have to practice on a regular basis. It's not easy. It doesn't come naturally. We feel like we're missing something. We feel like maybe we're not up to the best, or we're not doing our best if we're not like right in it all the time. Um,
Mm-hmm.
not succumbing to those pressures is difficult. It's not something that is easy to do, and there's no way that I would be out here saying that it's just so easy. Snap your fingers and just do that. None of it is easy. You know, but it's worth practicing that pause. Um,
Well, the biggest the thing about using about not taking that pause is that it works on one of the most difficult things for anyone in general, which is accountability. If by if you don't take that pause, you don't think about accountability. So you don't even think about whether or not you're taking accountability. To to take that pause requires you to actually stop and think, well, what is actually going to happen with this? Actually taking accountability for your actions within what you're going to say or how you're going to treat a situation. No one likes accountability.
hmm
Very
I mean, yes, they do, but sometimes
the
it's hard. I get what you mean.
yeah.
It
Well, I shouldn't say no one likes accountability. I What I mean to say is no one likes to think about accountability
right.
when in those situations,
hmm
because when you're in those situations you are often heated, you are often just wanting to act, and just wanting to act doesn't
Right.
involve thinking.
Right. It's not your first thought. It's
Yeah.
not your first thought. Exactly. Because, well, let's be honest, you're not really thinking clearly. That's what
No.
this law is all about. Like, acknowledging
Mm,
the when you are responding this way, you're not thinking clearly. Correct. Like, that's
exactly.
I do believe that's what Green was trying to put out there. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and that, under Green's theory, that will be used against you. That will be purposely used against you. There will be people trying to get you to react that way, to use it against you for their own gain.
Mm,
That's the Green angle on it.
yes.
And so our angle is like, how do you prevent that? Like, how
Mm,
first, by recognizing it, like
mm-hmm.
recognizing what's triggering you, recognizing that you are triggered, recognizing your own responses to the situation immediately, and then, whether or not you're able to step back for a second before you respond. Because
Yes.
sometimes there'll be situations where you really do need to address it right away.
Oh, 100%.
But still, you could take a pause to address it appropriately for you.
Mm,
And that's difficult, and I don't want to make it sound like that's easy. Like, maybe for some people it is, but I would say for the majority, that it's not. you
mm-hmm.
know Yeah. Well, let's move on to the next. We got so much on that one. All right.
Absolutely.
Now, the next one is successful use negotiation, the deadline test. A seller says, "This offer is only good for the next hour. There are 5 other buyers." Instead of panicking, you say, "I understand. I'm not comfortable rushing. Please send the other offers in writing, and I'll decide after reviewing the full terms." Why it works. You interrupt the other person's attempt to make you emotional and time pressured. Their response can reveal whether the urgent deadline was genuine or a pressure tactic. And then the failure version. You counter with fake urgency. "I have another seller ready to go right now," when you do not. If exposed, you lose credibility and destroy a deal that could have been resolved calmly. Like, if you try to match what they're doing, like, you could just ruin everything, you know. But I thought this one was good because, like, this kind of stuff, we can relate to that, right? We all get under the
Mm,
pressure of people trying to sell us something, somebody pushing us. We've had another law where they said that people pushing you to make a decision right away is never in your best interest. You got to question that right away. Like,
mm-hmm.
why? If they, why is time not on their side? If they can't adequately explain why it's so urgent, you had to decide immediately. The friend pressuring you to choose sides or to make a decision about something right away without having all the information or looking at everything from both sides. The salesman not letting you kick the tires, saying it's going to be gone tomorrow. you know that
Mm-hmm.
kind of stuff. You know. I want to make sure I don't miss anything in comments before I move on. Sin had said the sinister part is you don't have any drawbacks. If the other party manages to pull through, you just asked an innocent question, no harm done, eh? Exactly, Sin.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody loses face. They can't
Mm-hmm.
pin it on you, Yeah. No,
Yes.
I that yeah, exactly. Okay, the next one will be for you. This
Mm-hmm.
modern example. Oh, look what you got. You got friendships. Look, lucky you.
Yay, friendship. Okay. Successful use friendships. The boundary test. A friend repeatedly cancels at the last minute, but insists they value the friendship. Rather than starting a fight, you calmly say, "I've noticed your last 3 plans changed on the day. I'm happy to make plans when you know you're available, but I won't hold evenings open anymore." Why it works. This creates a productive discomfort without name calling. Their reaction can clarify whether they will take responsibility, become defensive, or expect you to accept a one-sided arrangement. The failure version. You provoke jealousy by posting photos with other friends, cancel plans in retaliation, or make indirect posts online. That creates drama, not clarity, and avoidable issue. It turns an avoidable issue into a loyalty contest.
Wow.
Yeah,
I could see
there's
how it's a better way to use the
mm,
boundary test to just prod, like, make your point, but you can do it without a hammer, so to speak.
mm-hmm,
And actually, their reaction to it can tell you where they're really coming from about it,
mm-hmm,
whether they actually are hearing you and have respect for the situation, or you can make your decision after that. Like,
exactly.
I mean, friends usually respect friends' boundaries, and they actually, in a mutual friendship like that, you want to hear about other people's boundaries. You want to hear about things like this. You may not be doing it on purpose. You may just be somebody who just, like, what is that saying that, like, the people closest to us are those we inadvertently take advantage of the most. Like,
Mm-hmm,
thinking they're always going to be there. So, like, if something comes up, it's like, oh, no problem. Like, we can just do that another day, and just maybe doing that a little too often. You know what I mean? It takes work to not get into the habit because these people are your solid ground. They are the ones you depend on. They're there all the time. They're going to come through for you.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you forget that, uh, you you have to pay, even more respect to that. You can't be like just taking that for granted, so to speak.
No, exactly.
Right. You know. So this is just a way to show, well, you might be taking that for granted a little bit, and I'm not having it. Like, as a friend, I would respect somebody who approached me this way in the boundary test, and it would work, because I would be like, "Thank you for letting me know. I didn't realize I was doing it so often, and I should
Mm-hmm.
I should take your time into more consideration. I should not take advantage of your time or take it for granted either."
Exactly.
Because imagine if you're that friend, you're like, "Oh, like you want to hang out with me only when there's nothing else to do?" Excuse
Mm.
me? Like I'm the one that get canceled all the time? Like, where does that put me in your list of priorities? Like, it's kind of like a how to say something without saying something kind of thing. Like,
Oh,
I,
absolutely.
yeah, you know. Well, oh, so the next one, wait, make sure I didn't. When pressured, my default is then no. I am so stubborn that way too, Ember. I will become immovable. I will take all the time in the world. Like, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Green seems to see friendship is just another business model. He does. But like, Green didn't write that. That's Rekkr and I, from
Mm.
some research that we did in some papers that we read. Yeah. Thank you, Grace. Grace is sending us a husky in the mobile plan with jewels there. They're cute little stickers. Thank you,
Ooh.
Grace. Yeah. They're cute, right? They pop up on the YouTube side on mobile.
Ah, okay.
I don't often see it because I have everything up on the PC. Like, well, all right, let's go to the next one. So you had friendships, and now I have dating. Oh, this isn't right. Like, no, you should have had dating, and I should have had
I
friendships. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. So, hey, I can do it. The successful use, dating, the inconsistency check. Someone says they want a serious relationship, but only contacts you late at night and avoids making plans. And you calmly state, I'm looking for intentional dating. If that's not what you want, no hard feelings, but I'm going to step back. Why it works. The boundary forces a choice without trying to control them. Their words and conduct either align or the mismatch becomes obvious. But the failure version, you intentionally make them jealous, you flirt publicly, disappear without explanation, or create a test they do not know they are taking. Even if it gets a reaction, the result may measure anxiety or possessiveness and not actual commitment. So you may not be getting the actual true answers to anything, so to speak. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This one's a little bit of like fluff, actually. Um, but rather than confront, you do state exactly your boundaries and what you're looking for, and then it's up to them. You know,
Exactly. It's
you
more. I'd
right,
yeah. I'd say it's more about establishing your own boundaries and um your own personal position in what's
hmm
happening.
right. We all know this dating stuff gets complicated. This romance, personal relationships, partnerships, intimate partnerships. It all gets dicey. But what you can't do is control the other person. Even though
Mm-hmm.
there are many techniques out there for manipulation to try to get what you want, just because you want something with someone doesn't mean they want it in the same way, and what's important is laying out to each other where you're coming from and what you're actually looking for to see if it does align properly. Because no harm, no foul if it doesn't. Just move on to find this what is it they say? Plenty of fish in the sea, right? Like,
Exactly.
why try to manipulate a situation to be better for you when somebody's telling you that's not what they're looking for? You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And so, yeah. Well, I do agree sometimes, though. I know there's going to be a little pushback because they're going to say, well, some people just won't actually come out. Like, they'll say one thing, but their actions will show another. And on that, I would say for me personally, I always go by the actions. For me, actions speak louder than words. Words are, in some situations, manipulation. Words are what they want you to see. The actions
Mm-hmm.
are what you actually can see.
And the easiest analogy is someone can say that they're going to save you from falling off the cliff, but if they don't do it, you're still falling off the cliff.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that one. Rekkr seems to see friendship as just another business model. Oh, instead of green? Oh, she
Oh,
rephrased it. You know,
hang on, let me
maybe.
just check that. 1 second. Let me grab my business book.
Are you
Business
transactional?
models, friendship. Yeah, it's right there.
You can see them in chat windows on PC. They're pretty neat. Oh, those? Yeah, you can? Okay, cool.
Oh, that's what I probably saw. Yeah, it looks cool.
I think of it better alone than unhappy. Amber, I'm with you with that. There are some things I won't settle on. I agree. Humble business. Exactly, Sin. Yeah,
Absolutely.
you're getting the feeling that Sin kind of knows you pretty well. Like, here, like, he's
I
kind of,
well,
he's calling me
I
out.
love it when someone recognizes my humility.
You get family conflict.
Ah, good old family conflict. Uh, calm repeat. A relative criticizes your life choices at every gathering. Why are you attacking me like this?
I know.
Jeez.
Hey, all right, now you did help me come up with all of these. We
I
researched
I
these.
did. I
We
did. I am
we
attacking
we
myself. I
we
realized
we
this.
picked these from models that other people put together through
Mm-hmm.
psychology papers and things like that. Like,
Yep.
I'll take some of the blame. I was there with you when we picked them, but like, you were there.
Yeah. Yeah. I just gotta,
Okay. Would you like me to read it for you?
No, no,
Okay.
I love family conflict.
Okay.
It's always funny watching them squirm. A relative criticizes your life choices at every gathering. Rather than defending every detail, repeat one calm line. I'm not discussing that today. Let's change the subject. The repeated boundary often exposes whether they want connection or control. Why it works? Their escalation becomes visible while you remain consistent. You do not need to win the argument. You show that access to you requires basic respect. The failure version. You deliberately raise a political, financial, or parenting grievance at the holiday meal because you know it will upset them. You may briefly feel powerful, but you risk damaging relationships, isolating family members, and creating conflict that cannot be contained. Or you just throw a grenade in the middle of everyone and watch them all fight over it.
I do not recommend. Yes.
I have done that. I will admit I have thrown that grenade and it was funny. That was years ago when I was less conscientious of just general people. But
Hey, we all grow. We all learn and
yes,
grow. We all live, learn and grow. I get it. I
yes.
get it. And I'm sure we've all done things like that.
Mhm.
Uh, family situations can be difficult. There's love always there, but there's also could be disagreements and
I
on different takes on things. I get it. I totally
I
get it.
well
So,
I believe that probably 99.99% of people have at one point in their life thrown that grenade.
I do.
And I bet if everyone thinks about it, they could probably come up with a point where they've done that.
Hmm. And I would say that the way they lay these out are in best case scenario. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not always possible to be this calm if you feel
Mm-hmm.
personally attacked, by your lifestyle and your choices. Like, we've all had these moments, and I totally get that. And I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
All of these scenarios are based on the perfect answer to that situation. We all know life's not perfect. We all know our responses aren't always going to be perfect. We all know that even if we do take a moment to think about it, we may not come up with the perfect answer.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know,
But
but
like we're human, we're flawed.
the
Anyone who tries to act holier than thou
hmm
is fooling themselves.
it
If
is,
you're not willing to. And here's the interesting thing, if you're not willing to make mistakes, then you're clearly not willing to learn.
this is well, we learn from our mistakes. True, like
Mm?
it's true.
You learn best from your mistakes, no matter
Well,
what.
if you actually feel you're not making any mistakes, you're not actually taking a good look at yourself. Because
Nope.
I would think it's almost impossible for any of us not to make some kind of mistakes. Eh,
If you've never
right.
made a mistake in your life, either everyone around you is coddling you, or you've just never lived.
Or you're delusional.
Or you're absolutely delusional. I've known people like that. It's quite.
Or like I said, some people are uncomfortable really looking at actually what they're doing and the purpose behind it. I don't know. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say that it's something that everybody like spends all day doing all the time. That's not what I'm trying to put out there. Um, But I don't think any of us are perfect. And I think we do learn from our mistakes. That's the key. Accountability and moving forward, and looking at what we did, looking at what was wrong with you, taking accountability, what would have been better. Doing what we can
Mm-hmm.
to take accountability, make defense, whatever. Um, Move forward, in
Mm-hmm.
growth. You know, uh, what's that word? Adulting? Oh,
Yes.
please don't lecture me for being common sense and everything again. I'll just move
Yeah,
on.
I'll let it slide.
Thank you. Thank you. So, for the next one, customer service, this would be one that many of us will recognize. Some of you work in customer service. I know some of you work in customer service. And I know that we deal with customer service. People regularly have to deal with customer service some
And,
way,
and I,
somehow.
I just want to apologize for all the times that I've probably been belligerent to some sort of customer service person.
That's not nice, Rekkr. You? Really? Mr.
Well,
Manners?
sometimes they do deserve it, and I guess that's me not apologizing for it, so you know what? Screw it.
Oh my. Oh my. The successful use in customer service, the composure advantage. A customer is rude after being told an item cannot be returned. The employee stays brief and calm. I want to help within the policy. I can offer option A or option B. A bystander, manager, or recording will generally see who is being reasonable. Why it works. The employee does not take the bait. The angry person may reveal that they are trying to intimidate someone into breaking policy. Just do what you want. Like, if I aggravate them enough, they'll just give me the money and I can go away. But the failure version is if the employee mirrors the customer's hostility, mocks them, or tries to provoke a scene. Even if the customer started it, video clips often remove context, and the employee can face discipline, going outside of policy, making matters worse, letting the issue escalate, things like that. You know, well, in customer service, people are always trying to bully you into going against the rules and just doing what they want. Even when you're offering them solutions like option A or B, they're like, not
Mm-hmm.
good enough. This is what I want, and you're going to do it. Or I'm going to stand here and scream, and I'm going to call you just for whatever, and I threaten to report you to your supervisor. All of that.
Do
All
you
of
know
that.
what the
So,
Do you know what the best representation of some kind of customer service is? I don't know if anyone else does, but both me and Claire love watching Cop Slop, and
Don't
I've
tell on us.
well, I mean, too bad.
It is an activity that when we don't want to actually deal with anything serious, we will put that on because
Mm,
we can just it's not a big conversation while it's on. It's not a taking it apart. Yeah, it's
yes, but I see police as the ultimate customer service. That and um, adult daycare. But that's besides the point. Um, you can always tell when someone wants 90% of the time you can always tell when someone wants the police to do something so they can either A get clout or B sue the city because every time they will make it obvious that they're trying to get some kind of reaction
mm-hmm.
every time.
Mm.
And this and they just customers are absolutely entitled. They are genuinely entitled. And the worst thing that ever happened was people misconstruing the saying the customer is always right and not
Mm-hmm.
properly saying the entire quote, which is the customer is always right in matters of taste.
That's true. People always leave the back part off. And
Mhm.
what they really meant is you've got to produce a product that actually people want.
Yes.
That's what it meant. It didn't have anything to do with customer service at the
No.
time. It
No,
had
it
to
has
do it had to do with mission statements, business plans, and actually putting out products that actually consumers would want. Like,
yes.
thank
It
you for bringing that up. Like, not many people know that. Okay, Ember
mhm.
says, "Oh, you're right, Ember.
Mhm.
His only mistakes are not saving his. Oh my goodness, I we just lost $1.50, but that's okay, Amber, because you're right. You're right, and when you're right, you're right. And it's worth losing that $1.50. Okay, but
Oh man. But no, and besides that, people screw up most sayings anyway. Like the greatest one that I hear getting screwed up all the time is having your cake and eating it too. It's actually not have your cake and eat it too. It's eat your cake and have it too. Because
right,
you
because
can you
yeah,
can actually have your cake
you
and
know,
you can eat it too because those
you
are
know,
things that come after each other. But
that
you
is
can't.
actually. Go ahead.
Hmm?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go
Uh,
ahead.
but you can't eat your cake and have it too because once you've eaten your cake, it's gone.
Hmm. That is a whole nother show that we should do, like maybe when we're on break, of the sayings that
Absolutely.
people have mangled throughout history, what they really were and what they turned into. Because that's a perfect one right there. It doesn't make any sense, but we all say it that way. We all say
Mm,
it that way. Yeah.
yes.
Sin says we have a good example here for that. A musician claimed he has been discriminated for being Jewish by hotel staff and he sued. Media backlash gave the hotel bad rep. The employee got scolded. Then came out the musician faked everything. And that tanked his career. As it should. You
That
mean he
sounds
actually
like that sounds
that's
like an entitled
horrible.
artist. That
That is
absolutely sounds like an entitled artist. I
I'm so glad he got repercussion for that because what?
me
He
too.
actually faked discrimination to get his way and put that on an employee. Oh my. Oh
Mhm.
man, that's. I used to refer to cops writing speeding tickets as handing out customer service awards. You know what? We are entertained by these because, well, what I will say that it has reaffirmed that my tax dollars going towards body cam is a really good thing. That's
Body
a really
cams
good
were the
thing.
greatest thing.
Yeah,
Holy crap.
yeah. I would say I no longer like I find with my local taxes going to that. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Based seeing like what they have to deal with sometimes and how things escalate and and it goes both ways. It protects both parties. It's
Absolutely.
right. It adds that element of accountability that's not deniable, with
Mm-hmm.
body cam. Not in every
Yep.
situation, because interpretation and everything.
Oh,
But
there's always gonna be issues no matter what. Nothing's perfect.
yeah, exactly. I think our last one's on you here. Yeah.
Absolutely. Group projects. The accountability
Nope.
reset.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
No.
Uh,
Okay.
one member misses deadlines and then blames everyone else. Well, at least that's not me this time. At the next check-in, you bring the neutral timeline, assignments, due dates, complaints, completed tasks, and missed handoffs. Ask the group to agree on the next deliverables in writing. Why it works. Calm structure creates pressure. Someone who relies on vagueness may become defensive or expose that their explanation does not match the record. Failure version. You create a group chat. You create a group chat confrontation. Tag the person repeatedly or accuse them of laziness without receipts. The group may split into sides and spend more energy on conflict than completing the project.
Right. Then it's not productive.
Yes,
Yeah. No. I
exactly.
like I like this one too. It's a better way to handle it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
by addressing everybody as a group, um, the outliners will become obvious. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and by making it something that everybody agrees to on a specific date and they have no problem with it, it will point out the person who's just like not doing their fair share.
Exactly.
More so than that group chat confrontation. Because here's the thing: even though you're in the right, this person's wrong by holding up the group. This They are, okay, no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
But you calling them out is going to get a certain element of people just thinking that shaming and blaming is wrong, and couldn't you have done that privately, and what are you doing, and kind of feeling for the underdog here, you know, right? So you're going to split everybody up. Some people are going to be like, yeah, yeah, he did it, this, that, and the other thing. And others are going to be like just criticizing you for the way you handled it. And now
Mm-hmm.
nothing's getting done. Like now there's discourse everywhere, you know,
Yep.
where the other way
Exactly.
it was handled by bringing the whole group into it with the group idea, with the group project in mind, with everybody working as a team, along
Mm-hmm.
that light, and so that it would kind of naturally solve itself. You know,
Mm.
that
You
person's
often.
either going to
Mm.
leave the project because they can't fulfill the responsibilities. You know.
Mm. And from what I understand, this often happens when it comes to stuff like coding projects,
Mm,
when a whole bunch of software engineers have to code something together, and and one of the team members is like severely lacking in their section of the code.
mm-hmm.
Which reminds me,
It,
I need to learn code. If anyone knows
mm,
any good code stuff, let me know, please. I need to
they'll
learn C++.
actually there's free courses on C++ everywhere. Yeah.
There is?
Yeah, there is. I'll get you the one from
Ooh,
ITT. Yeah, yeah, we've got the links. Yeah, I found
that
all
might
that
be
stuff.
good.
I found all that stuff during COVID. But anyway, we'll see which ones are still live. But I'll help you after. These group
Okay.
project things, this would apply to just about anything that you have to get together as a group, where people are responsible for different parts of it, and it's all on a timeline. And one person as the outliner can really hold the project back. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and so it can become an uncomfortable situation. So handling it properly to keep the project moving forward is important. you know Not getting in your feels about being angry at somebody messing everything up. The goal is to keep the project on time and going forward.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what on that, let me know how you guys feel about the our little modern examples there. Like
Yes.
that was a new way to do it. We didn't pick people. We didn't
Hmm.
pick people.
I
Maya said,
personally like this kind of format.
Yeah. Some people wouldn't know what a receipt was if you built a whole website full of receipts and called said people out by name. You know, Maya, that's a point made. Invalid. I hear you. I
Mm-hmm.
absolutely hear you on that one. Just kick the one who misses the deadlines. It's not school anymore, it's work. Things count. Things get to make money. True, but you could set the
Mm.
project back. I'd rather try first to bring them in line because they were hired for a reason, right? Like they were hired
Yes.
for a reason and they have the skill. And now I got to replace them, and that's a headache,
And
So yeah, so I'm going to take the time to try to bring them, up to speed first.
mm,
But man, no second chances. Like they don't get the hint after this one, and you're right. Get rid of them. It's not
and
worth it. And bring somebody in who actually wants the job. Yeah,
yes, and
yeah.
unfortunately, more often than not, when it comes to outside of school stuff, if someone's being hired and brought into a team, it's because they specialize in a particular area,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't get rid of them that easy, unfortunately. It's
Mm-hmm.
different in school because everyone's generally doing the same thing, but in a
No,
workplace,
you have some amazing employee rights in New Zealand. Like I'm
oh,
fascinated with your
hell yeah.
protection. You do, but that's on another subject.
Yep.
These are actually quotes from the book that we put with imagery to make them just a little more, you know,
Mm-hmm.
to make Rekkr happy, to tickle his fancy, so to speak.
Yes.
Yeah. Would you like to read them?
I would be happy to read them.
Mm-hmm.
The Pond of Fish. The waters are clear and calm, and the fish are well below the surface. Stir the waters, and they emerge. Stir it some more, and they get angry, rising to the surface, biting whatever comes near, including a freshly baited hook.
True, which we don't want to take, right? Don't take the
No.
bait. It's like
Yes.
the only way to preserve your personal power is to don't take the bait. As soon as
Yes.
you
Or
do,
if you're going to take the bait, make sure you know what the bait is and the result of taking it.
exactly, they take that pause, figure it out, move forward. No, I get you.
Mm-hmm.
I hear you. Sometimes it is appropriate. That's right. Every situation is going to be different. Not
Mm-hmm.
always. Not always a simple answer. Not always the same answer. How many times do we say that during this series?
Yeah, unfortunately, life isn't always as simple as, hey, just do
Mm-hmm.
this one thing.
Oh, here's your man again,
Sun Tzu,
Sun Tzu.
good
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
Uh,
The outer wall.
yep. I heard he makes a terrible coffee, though.
To being a team man, I can see why. just go,
You know,
just go, just read it.
if your opponent is of a hot temper, try to irritate him. If he is arrogant, try to encourage his egotism. One who is skilled at making the enemy move does so by creating a situation according to which the enemy will act. He enacts. He. Why is that not? Hang
It
on. It's
entices.
looking. There we go. Entices. He entices the enemy with something he is certain to take. He keeps the enemy on the move by holding out bait and then attacks him with picked troops. Sun Tzu, 4th century BC. For some reason, that part of my screen was looking really blurry. I might need to check that.
It's the two tones. If you rather me not use them next time, I won't. If it's
No,
affecting you.
no, no. The screen was. I think it was having a little bit of a hissy fit.
Oh, okay. Yep. All right. Now we get to. We're doing good on time.
We are.
We're on the questions. You know what that means? Since we have a half hour, we actually have to answer the questions. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
You ready?
Okay.
Yeah, all joking aside. You
Mm-hmm.
guys in the chat too. And those of you watching, gonna do the replay. If you want to answer any of these in the comments, Rekkr and I are both here. Like, we would love it. We would love to hear from you. You know, I do enjoy the comments and hearing your perspective on what we did. And some of the suggestions you've made on other things to cover or points we could have made. I do, I do appreciate those too.
Mm-hmm.
So, first question. Okay, Rekkr, you're up first. Have you ever seen
Okay.
someone win an argument simply because they stayed calm while the other person became visibly angry?
Oh yes, constantly. Could I name it specifically? Probably not, because there's more often than not the person who stays the calmest is always going to come out on top.
Mm-hmm.
I actually I used to see it a lot when I used to watch a lot of debates. Um, when whenever one of the debaters would get irate, the other one always ended up managing to like catch them out on something.
Mm-hmm. True, because they're being emotional, not,
Mm-hmm.
their guards down a little bit. They're not prepared. But here's the thing: this isn't about winning and losing. It's about perceived winning and losing. Like
Yes.
the calm person's going to be perceived as the winner, even if the angry person is actually right and has every
Mm-hmm.
reason to be upset or whatever. Like they're just going to come off wrong based on the outburst. You think you know what I mean? So it's like perceived winning and losing is what I mean, instead of like the actual who's in the right and who's in the wrong. By
Mm.
staying calm, you automatically have the perception of being the one who's right.
Yep. Yeah, and that is
That's not
true.
always fair, but it is a way
No.
to protect your power. It is a way to gain power in the situation, and that's what we're talking about here, right? We're not talking
Mm-hmm.
about whether it's the right thing or the wrong thing. Like this is the perception of it. Like this is
Mm-hmm.
this is how that power goes back and forth.
Yeah,
Okay,
and yeah, that is true. Like
we
normally,
just
the
check.
most calm person, even if they're saying something completely wrong, comes off as the most confident, which people will generally say is the most correct. When you,
Exactly, Maya. Thank you for bringing that up because I didn't mean. You know what? The delay.
yeah,
I just heard that last word, and I did not mean to cut you off. Would you finish that?
I think my mind started reading the comment because I was going to say when you lose your cool, you trigger a number of chemicals that make it hard to think clearly.
Exactly. As I was saying, I'm so glad she brought that up because while we were researching this, we always look at the psychological impacts of why this works, why these laws work on people with green, and that came up a lot on
Mm-hmm.
triggered emotions and this and that. It's like feeling humiliated, feeling insulted, the lack of respect, being made to feel small, not just anger. Like people use these things, and then when you get angry, things start happening. Chemical balances, Maya is absolutely correct, that actually affect whether you are thinking clearly or not.
Mm-hmm.
The person that stays calm usually just appears more confident. Absolutely. So it's the perception of they've got the power. They have the power right now. The perception that they must be right. Look how calm they are. They're not even reacting. Like there's nothing, it's a nothing burger. Even if the other person does have valid criticism or a valid statement or has been wronged in some way, by acting with anger out like that, it diminishes it,
And
you know?
here's the interesting thing. They don't actually need to be calm. You
Mm-hmm.
could be you don't actually need to be calm. All you need to do is actually just maintain an appearance of calmness, and
Mm-hmm.
generally it works itself out because just by physically trying to keep your composure, you will always, I shouldn't say always, I know, but everyone understands. Generally, you will at least come out on top most of the time. It is when your feelings take control of your actions as well that things will fall apart. You could be blindly furious, but if you keep at least an outward composure of calmness, you'll move much more rationally. I don't think. Let's see. No, I don't think I've ever seen someone who outwardly appears flustered or completely angry, or furious, ever come off as rational or calm.
Mm-hmm.
Or well, I shouldn't say calm. Rational or making sense. But I've seen plenty of people who are absolutely furious but very calm come across as rational and making sense,
Mm.
which is pretty much the same thing. But anyway,
Mm. Number two is you.
number two. Does a public overreaction reveal someone's true character, or only who and or only who they were in a highly or only who they were in a highly dysregulated moment?
It
Uh,
could be that could be both, but I would say it leans more to the moment if we think about it like with grace. I think I would look at it as like that's their that's their reaction right now. However, if it happens more than once, that's a pattern, and I would say that that attests to character. What do you
mm-hmm.
think?
I would agree. I would say that like if you could probably say that it would speak to someone's character if it was a first impression, or if it was like a um if you didn't know the person very well. It and it's a perfectly fair assumption to make if it happens to be the first impression of the person. Um, but at a intellectual level, it is very much just a who they are at a highly dysregulated moment.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, for me, yeah, like I think like you did, it's a dysregulated moment at the time. But if it happens more than once, if it becomes calm, and if there's a pattern there, that's definitely leads to character. They they're a hot one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which is more powerful online, a carefully evidenced response or a highly emotional one, and why?
Um, I think I think always it's going to be a carefully evidenced response. Or I wouldn't even say it would need to be carefully evidenced. It just needs to be a careful, uh, level-headed response. Um, because a level-headed response is always going to come across more clearly than a highly emotional one.
It well, true, but it depends on the type of highly emotional we're talking about. Because
Good
people that are
point.
passionate, and that's why I say, the always and the never words. Like there's always the exceptions. There's
Mm-hmm.
always the outliner. There's always the other small group, and it's also about perception here. Because like if we're talking about whether somebody passionate and highly emotional in a subject, you know, you know, they that could be uh, very powerful. That can move people. That can get
Mm-hmm.
people to respond, it passionately, especially if we're talking about things that people resonate to right away, like you know, uh, wrongful convictions, mothers grieving lost sons, in a tragedy, or daughters. I don't mean to pick one or the other. You know what I mean? Just loss
Mm-hmm.
in general. Speaking with passion and emotion to an audience on a subject that hits them can be extremely powerful and move them to a direction that you want them to. Um, it's not always anger. It's not always the outburst. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like
True.
to say something is strongly emotional or highly emotional, it can be effective, but for that
Mm,
reason. But like you said, if it's anger, like just stomping and yelling, yeah, that does have impact. You can incite the crowd and everything, but I don't think it's long term. I think it's temporary, and you have to
mm.
keep doing it to keep it going, so
You
it
have to
becomes
amp it up.
monotonous. You have to keep amping it up and it becomes monotonous, so it becomes less effective, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a carefully evidenced response that hits people, if they understand the evidence, if it clicks with them, it's extremely effective, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But it has to actually resonate with them and hit them. Because unfortunately, in today's, what I see today online, if you can't get their attention within a minute or two and prove it, that you lose them. They get bored. They move on. They go next. They're more, more often going to respond to the emotion, the quick one, the quick response, than they are to the carefully evidenced one, because that one takes time. That one, that one takes like leading you down the road to the conclusion, right?
Mm.
I mean, am I wrong? I mean, I could be wrong here. It's just my perception of it. But I think this question itself is a double-edged sword. That's what I'm going with.
I think a lot of people will. Uh, I think to at the start, a lot more people will at least initially respond to a highly emotional one, a highly emotional response. But in the long term, it is generally the carefully evidence-based response that wins out. I guess it depends on what the situation
Hmm.
is calling for. Are you calling to rally the troops? Then an emotional response is going to work the best. Or are
Hmm.
you calling to um, provide clarity on a subject? Then a carefully evidenced one is always going to succeed better.
Hmm. Right. Number four.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now, can refusing to respond be strength, or can silence sometimes allow a false narrative to harden?
I would immediately say both. I actually think it's harder not to respond. I think that takes strength. It takes taking the pause and thinking about it. It's much harder. It's very hard to let people be out there challenging something on you or making accusations, doing things in anger or maliciously, and you don't respond. It is difficult not to, even though most people would counsel someone not to respond in those situations. Um, I think that takes strength. But also, by being quiet, you do allow them to keep saying whatever they're going to say. And there's going to be a certain element that is going to just take them at their word. What what you do hope is that people that actually think about it or will come and ask you directly or look at how you move through things, look at your actual actions instead of the words that other people are saying. And I stress this a lot. Like, words can be manipulations. Words are not facts. Words are not anything like that. They're usually manipulations, they're usually accusations, and they're claims. They're statements. Words are statements, not facts,
Mm-hmm.
right? But
Yes.
actions lean more towards facts, something tangible that you can actually, what do they say, hang your hat on? Something
Mm-hmm.
that you can see a pattern on. You see how somebody moves through. So even though I would tend to not respond, I would tend to try to refuse to actually answer nonsense, answer uncredible accusations. I don't feel the need to defend myself against accusations that aren't true. But
Mm-hmm.
however, if I have made a mistake, if I do feel that there's something that needs to be clarified, of course I would do it. But not just because somebody has decided to get my goat, get under my skin, try to rile me. I will
Mm,
say, I will say, it does take a certain amount of strength. It's not an easy thing to let
absolutely.
people just carry on like that.
Mm.
You know.
Um. Uh. Actually, there's been a recent situation that actually has shown the power of actually not responding. If anyone knows much about the streaming world out there, there was a situation with a streamer called Saikuno, and well, he's a dirty dog, and people made a whole bunch of accusations about him, and a lot of them were actually true. However, he didn't respond, and somehow he came out on top. He won. He straight up just was like, "Yep," didn't respond, and still won, even though he was the person in the wrong. He didn't do anything illegal. It was more just a
Well, it was a
morally.
moral issue.
It
Basically,
was
he cheated on his long-time living girlfriend
yes,
regularly,
yes, and
and yes,
he still somehow came out looking like the good guy to an extent.
he took some level of
He
accountability. Said he was wrong, but he didn't do it right away, and
no, he didn't.
he waited. And when he waited, the internet did what the internet does. Whoever
Mm-hmm.
counseled him had a very good perception of what happens out here. Because even though there were things against him that were absolutely true and he couldn't deny, whoever counseled him, or even himself, just knew that there was going to be a certain element that blew things out of proportion, that made it such a big deal that everybody was going to tag on it. They were going to twist every little thing to be a bigger thing and to make it much more than it actually was and get it all convoluted and just blow it to the top, right to the top, to where it was absolute ridiculousness and people didn't care anymore. That
Mm-hmm.
the actual people pushing the narrative, when you actually read all their stories, there were people that were out there doing it for agenda. That the
Mm-hmm.
actual people he actually cheated with and the actual girlfriend had less of an issue than the people that were pushing the agenda. And so everything kind of fell apart and he just let that all play out. And when that was all done and the people making the biggest noise about it were laid to rest by other people online for what their agenda was, then he came out, took accountability, said he had left the internet. The reason he didn't respond is because he was working on what his priority was, and that was going to counseling with his girlfriend and making things right in his home life. Which,
Mm-hmm.
which, if you want to hear something from somebody who's been accused of doing all this, that's what I want to hear. That was their
Mm-hmm.
priority, and not what their reputation was out here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it made him a little bit more credible. I don't condone anything that he did, like, but
Oh, absolutely
it
not.
is a lesson in taking that pause. It's
Yep.
absolutely. I'm glad you brought it up because
Mm.
it is it is a good example of, I don't
Do
know, yeah.
nothing and win. Just
Even when you're wrong, like even when
yeah.
you're guilty of all of it, like, because he was guilty of everything that they said. It was just how certain people did it and why they did it and approached it. Because the people that were pushing it the most, he never even cheated with.
Mm.
Hmm.
Nope.
No,
It,
no.
it
We're talking about the Sakuno. Yeah, you know. So
making the decision to get involved in indirect drama becomes muddier as a streamer. You want to keep your personal moral system, but may have a responsibility to your community to speak out. Absolutely, but you should always when you speak out, you should always make sure every word that you use is measured. Um, and measured appropriately. That's the hardest thing, especially when it comes, especially if you take streamers for instance, because a lot of what they do is on the fly. It is in the moment. Like streamers will misspeak. I misspeak. Claire misspeaks. Everybody misspeaks, and especially when you're doing hours upon hours of streaming, uh, everyone has probably said something stupid that they haven't meant entirely. But it's about, you know, when you do take the time to make a point to speak about, to like put the time aside, for instance, in Saikuno's case, to actually take the time to collect what he needed to collect his thoughts and stuff, and put that out in a less spontaneous manner. That's when it
Mm-hmm.
matters the most, especially in especially outside of streaming. Um, in the spontaneity of streaming,
Mm-hmm.
you could intend to say something but say something else. I put more importance in what someone says when they've actually put it together in a measured sense as opposed to in a spontaneous sense.
Mm-hmm.
I try to, I personally try to take the intention or the meaning, the intended good faith meaning behind what is being said as opposed to the instantaneous interpretation of of what might be inferred.
Mm-hmm. And the bias is making the decision to get involved in indirect drama becomes muddlier as a streamer. Yes, it does. You want to keep your personal moral system, but may have a responsibility to your community to speak out. I get that, and I guess it's situational. And I guess it depends on the community and whether or not you know people are going to people directly. You know, um, but I hear the valid point. It does get muddier, especially, I feel that currently, like as I grow, what needs to be addressed and what doesn't, and sometimes depending on the level of streamer you are and the people involved, sometimes you can't get involved either because you may be a larger channel or it may look like taking one side or the other uh, could be detrimental unfairly, so to speak, based on the size of the community. All of these things are situational, in all of the elements of the situation need to be taken into consideration. So I guess my answer to it is that it's not one size fits all.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and it's complex, and I agree with
Mm.
your statement about it getting muddier, and I agree that being on a platform, having a platform, any platform, you know does make it muddier. It really does. uh,
I,
Believe me, I get that. I live it. Been out here
I,
for a while, just like you have, Maya, and several of you in the chat. Like we've all been there.
yeah, exactly. I, I, I should say I do agree. I do agree to an extent, but I guess personally, I'm not one who believes in the idea that you shouldn't defend yourself
Hmm.
from someone punching up. I guess I don't believe in the idea of it's bad punching down if the
Um,
person is coming at you.
well, to me, it's situational because,
But
like,
yeah, it is.
I
Once again,
also,
it's situational.
I also have been educated by yourself, even very many times, not to throw you under the bus here, that
No,
that's
throw
going to
me, throw me.
happen. Well, that's going to happen. People,
Absolutely.
people that don't have the same size community, they are going to punch up because it's part of
Mm-hmm.
what happens out here, and it's part of what has to be accepted. So you have to make a decision when you respond and when you don't. Like, when do you give them the traction and when you don't, what the issue is. Like, and I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get it. And so for me, I balance out what the issue really is for me. Okay. And period. Like, I feel a responsibility to me first.
Mm-hmm.
If my decision isn't damaging that community at all, then okay. It's not my intent to harm any side of it, so to speak. I'm not going to try to damage the community in any way. Okay. What I do not, like, I know myself really well. I don't have superpowers. Sometimes I feel weighing in isn't going to solve anything. Then why do it? Like, why jeopardize my peace of mind, my mental health, my peace, if it's not
Exactly.
going. I'm not superhuman. I know myself really well. Okay, I know what I can and cannot do.
Mm.
And in certain situations, doing nothing for me is the best thing, because
Absolutely.
it may be irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in how people are handling it. If the behavior is deplorable, if there's malicious bias and ill intent, why do I owe anyone a response?
Exactly.
If the clear narrative and agenda is out there,
Mm.
why would I engage? The
Exactly.
whole When you think about it, in that situation, you know, it's this chapter gives you the answer. There's
Mm-hmm.
no way I'm willingly going to lay myself down for you and give you the power. I'm going to protect my own. And if that means making the situation irrelevant, so be it. It's irrelevant to me anyway. Anybody else can feel any way they want about it. That's for them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm responsible to me, my actions, my response.
Precisely. Now, the next question is, I think it's my turn. Um, how can a person identify that they are being baited before they damage their own credibility?
Ooh.
Mm.
If you feel yourself getting emotional, like if you feel yourself, I think we all feel the rising, okay? Like, okay, now I might be telling on myself here. I am a Jersey girl after all. Like, make fun of me if you want. But there's a way you tell, like you feel it rising. You feel yourself getting triggered. You feel anger. You feel emotion. You feel like what? Like,
Mm.
we've all been there, okay? And if you start feeling that way, take the breath. Like, take a moment, you know, because you're responding to them baiting you. Like, they may be, and in some cases, let's be honest, it could be non-intentional by the other person. It could just be a subject or a trigger of yours that they're not even aware of. So I'm not saying that everything is a purposeful manipulation. I could not ever say that, and I would not ever say that. Okay.
No,
But I'm saying, in, like, if you feel yourself getting ready to respond like that, that's when you know you need to take a moment and think about it.
I think in a sense, I wouldn't know how to do it, but trying to figure out a way to actually practice letting yourself get emotional, identifying it, and then bringing yourself back would be a very productive thing to do.
I don't know if that, for me, if that's physically possible, like, to do that, but
I mean, you're from
I do know,
Jersey and
I
you're
know,
ginger.
but examining
Well,
things that
but
did set me off after the fact, when I did feel like that, and examining why, in trying to figure out why I had such a reaction, and what it was that made me feel a certain way, that's a good thing. Like, hindsight, like, you can learn a lot from hindsight and your own actions. Like, yeah. But I don't know, like, purposely trying to get myself to be emotional about something. I mean, what do you mean? Put on a good movie and cry? Like, what are you talking
well,
about?
I think you don't. I mean, not put on like a good movie and cry, but maybe um, maybe you are maybe you have strong feelings about a particular topic. Going out of your way to find the oppositional idea to that topic and like spending a few minutes reading through the comments um, until you find one that you really want to respond to, recognizing that you're feeling this way, identifying what it is, and consciously taking the time to not do that and just move on.
Mm-hmm.
And just doing that, I think that could actually be quite a useful practice to have, because more often than this is one of those things that the only time we ever get to practice that kind of thing is in the heat of the moment. And when you're in the heat of the moment, it's not easy to like take that step back, especially if the topic or the subject that you're discussing or arguing about is something that you feel incredibly strong about.
No, I think that, you know, I can see the validity of that. I could see that how that could work for people. Um, I think at this point, for me, in regards to what happens like out here with the online on the platforms, I think I've been through enough to not throw myself in the fire to figure it out anymore,
Mm,
and I'm okay with that right now. Like I may readdress it. I don't know if it I could change any day depending on the situation that comes up. I'm not prepared for every situation. I'm not prepared for all of it at all. I'm just saying, from the patterns and from what I've been through, like this is how I choose. I choose whether to engage or not. I make an active choice. I don't
mm,
say I can't do this or I can't do that. I say I choose. I
mm-hmm.
choose not to, or I choose to. I make an active choice. And that's what I would just advocate everybody to do. Like just take the time to make sure it's your choice and not a reaction that somebody provoked out of you. That's all. Simple that way. It's not always easy either. And I
No,
get that. Yeah.
no, and it generally never is, especially
Mm-hmm.
for high high pressure situations. Anyway, I believe you have the
Who's
last one.
Oh, goody. Have social media platforms made Law 39 more effective, or have they made provocateurs easier to expose?
100% both. Absolutely both, without
I
a
would
shadow of
say
a doubt.
I would say social media platforms have made provocateurs more evident. Like there's more of them. It seems to be the way to go sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Um Yeah, just like always, situational. It can be
Mm.
both. And I hate to keep saying that, like, because people say, Clay, you sit on the fence, you never decide. Well, in certain situations, like, it depends on the elements and the context and everything that's going on. So there's not, in most cases, a standard answer. That's life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm willing to
Yep.
accept it. I'm willing to accept it as that. And to say for that question, both are true. Both are true. Both are true. There's no or
Yeah.
there. There's both. Yeah, both. Because in dealing with the provocateurs, when you expose them, then of course you're going to use 39 as a defense. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I guess it's time, huh?
Yep. I believe we are up to
We
the
were
reversal.
We are. We were running on such good time, and then just like always, we just got carried away in the conversation. But it's always good conversation. So I don't want to sound apologetic for going overtime. Like
I always like it.
I know, you do. I know you do. All right. So the reversal is right from Green's book. This is Green's interpretation of when this law is not such a good idea to use. Okay. And the reversal, when playing with people's emotions, you gotta be careful. Study the enemy beforehand. Some fish are best left at the bottom of the pond. The leaders of the city of Tyre, capital of ancient Phoenicia, felt confident that they could withstand Alexander the Great, who had conquered the Orient but had not attacked their city, which stood well protected on the water. They sent ambassadors to Alexander saying that although they would recognize him as emperor, they would not allow him or his forces to enter Tyre. This, of course, enraged him, and he immediately mounted a siege. For 4 months, the city withstood him, and finally he decided that the struggle was not worth it and that he would come to terms with the Tyrians. But they, feeling that they had already baited Alexander and away with it, and confident that they could withstand him, refused to negotiate. In fact, they killed his messengers. They pushed Alexander over the edge. Now it did not matter to him how long the siege lasted or how large an army it needed. He had the resources and would do whatever it took. He remounted his assault too strenuously that he captured Tyre within days, burned it to the ground, and sold its people into slavery. You can bait the powerful and get them to commit and divide their forces as Sun Pin did, but test the waters first. Find the gap in their strength. If there is no gap, if they are impossibly strong, you have nothing to gain and everything to lose by provoking them. Choose carefully whom you bait and never stir up the sharks. Finally, there are times when a well timed burst of anger can do you good, but your anger must be manufactured and under your control. Then you can determine exactly how and on whom it will fail. Never stir up reactions that will work against you in the long run, and use your thunderbolts rarely to make them the more intimidating and meaningful. Whether purposefully staged or not, if your outbursts come too often, they will lose their power. And that's it. That that was Green's part of the reversal. And that is something we talked about through the whole stream. You know,
Mm-hmm.
how it when it doesn't work. When it doesn't. Hello, Anna. Staying calm is usually the ultimate power play. The bait only works if you bite. That is very true, Anna. And thank you for joining
Mm-hmm.
us. We're just wrapping up, but I hope you'll catch the replay. Um, because basically what you just said there was the whole stream. Green's version and our interpretations of it afterwards, like pretty much, with lots of different examples and conversation in between. But yeah, this series itself about power in general can be can be harsh, especially from Green's interpretation of it in his no holes bars versions, I call it, uh, and how this series was the challenge to try to make it more digestible for the everyday person for everyday situations. Explain why these laws of Green's may work, like against us because of human nature, and
Mm-hmm.
how we can actually protect ourselves from them, or at least recognize when they're being used. You know,
Absolutely.
this one can be useful by paying attention and finding out when somebody is trying to provoke you,
Mm-hmm.
like in whether or not you should give up your power by giving them what they want, which is the response.
Yeah.
And that would be situational. That would depend on, you know, how they're approaching it and what is being said or done, you know, and it's going to be different for every person.
Yep.
Mm. But being aware that it's going on is to your benefit, because then the power is still with you and you get to make the choice. Don't be provoked.
Yes. And
Don't.
that is ultimately the most important thing, is being able to identify it
Mm-hmm.
and doing and moving with what's the word? I love it when words decide to not to run away. Do move with deliberacy, uh, intention,
Deliberation. Yeah, move with deliberate intention. I get it.
intention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I hear you. Would you
Mhm.
like to tell them what the next chapter is?
I absolutely can. And the next chapter is deciding to run away from me. It is chapter 40, which is here it is. Disdain the free meal.
Is that it? Is that
Just
it?
sorry. Despise the free lunch. So
Ah,
close enough.
I get it. Yeah.
Yes.
Is that a twist on there are no free lunches?
I think that's what it's going to be.
Well, I
Yeah.
guess we're gonna find out next week. Or
That.
yeah,
Yeah.
same time, same place. Thank you,
Yep.
everyone, for joining us, whether you're in the live chat here on YouTube or Twitch or Kick, or you're doing the replay later, or those above that are watching but are not in the chat. Feel welcome to meet us in the comments. We look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we'll be back next week. We're almost finished. We got 8 more laws, right?
Yep.
And I'll see everybody else with more channel stuff, more crime and coffee. I'm planning upload that you all requested on True Crime and Legal Update, a deeper dive into what's going on with Danny Masterson's appeal and the civil lawsuit for both Leah Remini and the Jane Does from his first trial. Well, that will be sometime during the week. Then we will be back next Saturday, same time, 6 p.m. Everybody have a good night. Any last words, Reck?
Um. Let's see. Stirring something up can always be helpful to mix. However, if you stir it too much, it might spill everywhere. Make sure whatever you're spilling everywhere doesn't ruin your day.
Or your shoes.
Or your shoes, especially if they're white.
You crack me up. Okay. Thank you for that. I like ending it on a smile. Oh, everybody have a good night. Thank you for joining us. Be well.
See ya.